Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 557 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ashley Prince. And if you want to hear the story about motivation and becoming a chiropractor to the future and what's next in her chiropractic career, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And today I have Dr. Ashley Prince coming in from the Woodlands area of Houston, Texas. I'm really excited about this episode. I've actually had a chance to go down and visit her in her clinic. It's a beautiful facility, and I know they're doing a lot to serve that community to the highest level that they know how to. But before we get into episode 557, I'm going to let you all know the big why. Yeah, right? 557 episodes. Awesome. Yeah, so I want to let you know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first, and I've found this to be more true than ever over the past couple of weeks, is freedom of speech. We have to protect the Second Amendment. We have to allow people to speak about things that matter to them when it comes to them and their family's health. So that's the second part of what we do, is we do protect family health freedom and medical freedom with our show, knowing that chiropractic has a direct influence on both of them, and people that practice a chiropractic lifestyle are really excited to have family health freedom and medical freedom and choose chiropractic as a group of people that can support their health decisions. And as we get into it more philosophically, we do protect and support BJ Palmer's last words, which are the sacred trust. I know that if a lot of you don't know what the BJ Palmer Sacred Trust is, stop the interview right now. Go and search for what BJ Palmer Sacred Trust is. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did, I guarantee you. And then we do believe and support subluxation-based chiropractic, and we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, Dr. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, we are really doing big work with the chiropractic message and the theme of chiropractic, and we've been doing it for 6 years. And this being episode 557, I've actually done 1,300 interviews in the past 6 years, all on the theme and the message of chiropractic. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you today, and I'd really like to open it up for you to just share it to people that listen to our show. How did you get into this beautiful profession? And tell us your chiropractic story a little bit.
Wow. Yeah, I've shared this story so many times that it just never gets old. I love chiropractic. I really do. And my life is all about chiropractic. I really grew up in a very sick household. I may have a shiny life and people think that we look good on the outside, but growing up, really, my mom was an alcoholic. So every day, she was sick, and I was kind of like her mom. I took care of my mom. And at a very young age, I knew that our world was broken. I knew that there was something not right. And sickness was a very early part of my life. And at age 6, my parents found me in a coma in my closet. And I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And, this just utterly traumatized our family. However, there was a little bit of a blessing behind it, because my dad looks at my mom at the hospital and goes, "Nancy, it's time for you to get sober. You got to be sober in order to give your daughter her injections." And that doctor told me, "You're going to take shots every day. You're never going to be able to eat sugar, and you're going to go to diabetes camp." And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is my future. But I had my mom back. And she stayed sober. I mean, she's sober today. So praise the Lord for that. But
wow.
we had another big health crisis at 16 when my grandparents' caregiving staff from Florida called us and they said, we need you to come to Florida. I was living in Texas. They said, you need to come to Florida and take care of your grandparents. They're dying. And my grandfather had several strokes, and my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And, really tough time for a 16-year-old to give up high school and all of that. And my grandmother, as they both died pretty quickly, but my grandmother, as I was holding her in my arms, I felt the Lord say to me, you're meant to be a doctor. And when he said that, I just looked out and I remember thinking, my community is sick and dying. Like my grandparents, or my mother was sick and dying. Like my grandparents, I just felt such a burden at 16, a burden that I was so heavy. And I said, just make me a vessel, God. Whatever you want me to do, I will do. Take anything out of me and fill me up with whatever I need to accomplish your mission. And
Amen.
in that moment, I don't know what happened, but something happened because I got shot on a new trajectory that really was totally just out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm going from just being a high schooler to biochemistry in college, and then getting my master's in business, and then moving on to medical school. Many chiropractors don't know that I went to medical school. And that was kind of my first, I thought that was the route that I was supposed to take. Well, here's the cool part. So I'm a questioner. I like to question everything. I like to question the system, and I know you do too. I question my politics, and I encourage you guys, here's some advice. Question everybody, man. You question those politicians. Don't let them just question the doctors, question your mentors, your professors, and question us. We don't know everything, question me. And so I said, this doctor was standing up. This was in pharmacology class. And we're talking about a young boy who they were going to give some vaccines to. And they wanted to give him 12 in one day. And I stand up and I say, Dr. So-and-so, how in God's name can you say that it's okay to give a neurologically compromised boy 12 vaccines in one day? And the class behind me, they're going, yeah, Dr. So-and-so, how is that possible? And he didn't like that. He said to me, future Dr. May, you sit down and meet me after class. Well, the Lord got a hold of my heart that night, and I talked to the Lord and said, you told me to be a doctor. I don't get it. Like, I feel conflicted here. I don't like the drug stuff. I don't like the shot stuff. I feel like I cannot pursue this model. What are we going to do? I can't go this route anymore. I'm 3 years in, and I was so conflicted.
So you telling the story, I just have to show this. I'm reading a book right now called The Vaccine Friendly Plan, and it's written by a guy named Paul Thomas, MD, and he's out of Oregon.
Okay.
And he's been vilified and marginalized for telling people how to even go a route that's healthy for them with taking shots. And I think that people know that, like, that's not my world that I live in, but I'm still getting educated just like you did. And I'm questioning everything.
Yeah.
So I've looked at like long-term things, like what is happening to people that have had so many inoculations, and why are they getting Alzheimer's?
Yep.
Why are they getting dementia?
Mercury.
Why are they getting Parkinson's? Why are they getting these neurological compromised conditions that like crop up on them when they're in their 50s, when they're in their 60s, when they're supposed to be in their golden years, loving on their grandkids? Like when they're supposed to like be at the time of that fantasy word retirement, and people are supposed to have the best quality of life with the people that they love the most. But yeah, it's usually a terror. They get to that stage of their life and it's liability for the loved ones, like liability for them. Like it's not a very fun experiential transition at that winter stage of life. So it's really interesting to see, like you ask, what if we ask better questions? I think that's really important. And I've heard that the better quality of questions that you ask, the better quality of life that you get. So if we ask better questions, then we can start to be the seekers. And I think that that's really like, there's a code around being a seeker. And those are the people that actually transition and change the world.
Yeah.
They're you, Dr. Ashley. When you're a seeker, you start asking questions like, why does type 1 diabetes affect me as a kid? Why do I have that? And then you're like, why is my mama doing this stuff with alcohol? Can we help with that? Why is my patient base now dealing with these things, these onset conditions of, whatever we want to call them? I think a lot of times people are calling them, when people are just getting sick, immunodeficiency, not immunodeficiency, but they're calling them, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Look, if they call them autoimmune, but
there it is.
The body will never attack itself. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Your body will only attack foreign invaders. If there's a pathogen attacking you, your body will kill it. And if it can't kill it, it will do everything in its power to, but your body will never attack its thyroid gland. Hell no, that doesn't happen. So I get passionate.
Yeah, I was explaining to this guy came and met me this weekend at Mile High Chiropractic Seminar in Denver, or it's actually Westminster, just north. And he was like, questioning everything because he's never been adjusted before. Guy's 38 years old, and he shows up and he's like, hey, James, I was sent to talk to you. He's like, I know that you're like the advocate for the advocates of this profession. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's pretty cool. And I can tell you a lot of stuff of how we can help each other and how you can move this profession forward with me. But he just came to me. He's like, I feel like an imposter. He's like, I've never been adjusted before. And I go, okay, we're going to fix that right now. Yes. We're going to get you adjusted. And like, he's like, his manifestation from that, like, he's like, I just feel no more pain in my back. Like, I know that's like kind of like what chiropractic's become popular for, is like helping with pain. But really now he understands the lifestyle of it. Now he's going to get all of his little girls under care. Now he's going to get his wife under care. And now he's going to be that truth within his family that says, I'm going to be a change in this. I'm going to be a seeker. I'm going to change the behavior of myself so where it has the ability to change other people. And I think that's really cool. Where we're at with this conversation with you is because you decided that. You're like, I'm going to be a doctor.
Yes.
I'm going to become Dr. Ashley. I'm going to go out there and serve people and save people and tell them the truth. Like, isn't that empowering?
I hope it empowers people, because I was just a little old girl from Texas, nothing special, but I just knew anger rose up in me, and something told me that wasn't right. And the next day I quit medical school, and in my third year, and I went to the beach to surf, which is what I normally do to escape reality. But that day when I was on the beach, a chiropractor came up to me and asked if I wanted a job. And that's where really my life changed, because she was nuts, man. She was like nothing like I had ever heard before. Her clinic was so amazing, because on my first day there, these kids were coming in with ear infections, and they're going, she cured my ears fixed. And I knew this woman, all she would say is, the power that made the body heals the body. The nervous system controls everything. And I'm like, I didn't really get it, but I just knew I was seeing miracles. Well, she came up to me and said, if you don't let me crack your neck, I'm going to fire you. And when she said that, I was so scared, because I heard the tables cracking. I heard all those sounds. She said, if you don't let me do this, you're not going to understand chiropractic, and you won't get it. And so I let her. And that's really where my whole life changed, because like I told you, I had type 1 diabetes. Well, for 11 days, I could not take my insulin. My blood sugars maintained their own balance. And even if I tried to take my insulin, my blood sugar would shoot down. I mean, I knew something that she did to my neck somehow did something to my pancreas, and I was changed. I said, God, this is what I want to do. This is what you signed me up for. I want to help people with their own equipment, all that's inside of them. That's the healing. That's where it comes from. And that's where I am today. I mean, it's a very simple story.
This is the good stuff.
Yes.
This is the good stuff. Why we do this show is because there's always some unsung hero that gets a chance, like yourself, fulfill destiny, and you get a chance to go that path. And now you're serving people, and now you're running a facility for the past 9 years as a doctor of chiropractic. Now you're actually out there making a mission to understand kids and pediatrics, and you're making a mission of yours to enter public health office like position and do better for like not just your local community, not just your practice, but the community at large. And I think that that's something that all chiropractors really have this like ethos inside of them.
Mhm.
How can we fix ourselves? Let us be the miracle story. And then how can we take our experiential based practice and provide this to the community? And then what do we do next? Because I know so many chiropractors, they don't want to be attached to their practice with the golden handcuffs. They don't want to just like be in 10 years and all they do is adjust. You know, people adapt and people change over time. And some people from day one to day, 30 years into practice, all they want to do is adjust. But there comes a time when people transition in life and it becomes a part of our reality that like, what's next? And we should be like excited for what's next all the time and not rest on our old work, but we should learn from our old work and from the last questions that we asked and the life that we position ourselves into to go to the next thing.
Yes.
That's like the reality of like the evolution of life. Like you shouldn't live the same day over and over and over and over. Always they call it insanity.
Yes.
So you go work in this office. What happened next? Did you just immediately like say, I'm done working here, I'm going to enroll in chiropractic school?
Yeah, literally, like I was there for a week. And I called up this weird friend of mine that he was, I went to college with, and he was the only chiropractor I knew. And I'm like, how'd you get into chiropractic school? What classes did you have to take? Organic chemistry. Fine. Been there, done that. And I was in chiropractic school like a few weeks later at Palmer, Florida.
Wow. That's so interesting. Like to me, that's like the way everybody should approach the world, and they should approach life with that. That's a zest for existing. And then you're like, okay, so what's next? So you finished school. How did you transition into the real world after you finished diploma land?
Yeah. So when you said you've been running a practice for 9 years, I actually haven't. So I went to the mission field, after chiropractic school. A week later, I felt, I talk a lot about God. I hope that doesn't offend people, but he talks to me and he told me to sell all my belongings and move to Africa. And so for 6 years, I lived in various countries, Costa Rica, Uganda, and I really treated hard to diagnose populations. So I did everything. I mean, I practiced medicine without a license internationally. I can say that online because I did what was needed. I set broken bones. I pulled out dirty sutures from legs. I prayed with people. I adjusted people. And it gave me an interest for people. I like zebras. I like people that no doctor on the planet can figure them out. And then they come to my clinic, and just from my experience, I'm like, oh, that's Joaquin Valley fever. Or, oh, that is Epstein-Barr virus. And I can I love that, so I thank the Lord for taking me to the mission field and giving me that diagnostic experience that I now have in practice.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Ooh, like this is a heavy reality for a lot of people. If you guys are watching this show and you find some value in this, go ahead and send us a comment, share this message, hit the share button right now if you guys are on and watching with us. If you guys are watching us on replay, Send messages to both of us if this sparks up any interest for you. Ask better questions, and we appreciate everybody that supports our show. But this is seriously like one of the most really eye-opening interviews that I've ever been able to do. People always ask me, Dr. Ashley, like, hey, so who's your favorite guest? And I'll say, well, the last interview I did,
That's good. Yeah.
or I'll look at somebody like a luminary, like a world changer, like Les Brown, and like interviewing Les Brown, that changed my life. It proved to me that I was in the game, getting Grant Cardone on our show. Like, it proved to me I was in the game. Having somebody like John DeMartini be on the show, it proved to me that we were in the game. But it's this story. It's like, what did you do? And that's the thing, is we all have a message inside of us.
Yes.
And that's why I tell people I do this show. It's not about me. I do it to share these stories of chiropractic, to maybe inspire one person, to maybe get one mom to take their kid to the chiropractor because they're dealing with ear infections, like the miracles that you saw at that clinic. Or there might be that one person that has a family member that's struggling with a disability, that doesn't know where to go or who to trust, that now they watch this show and they're like, that's where I need to go, or I need to send a message to James so he can tell me where to go, or I need to send a message to Dr. Ashley because she sounds like she's the person for me and she can help me. Like, this is the brilliance of like Chiro Hustle and why we do it, because it's your story that matters the most. And you're going to connect with somebody out there that's watching this and they'll be like, thank you, God. Thank you for that message today. That's what I needed.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
I feel like if more chiropractors would not, hopefully no one gets mad at me for saying this, but instead of just jumping in to practice and trying to find an associateship position, could we serve for a year? Could we get out of our comfort zone and not make any money for a year, but instead get all the value of servanthood? That's what changed my life. And it made me actually not so focused on money when I saw those in need. And I went to Africa and I saw that honestly, all the money in the world couldn't make them happy. They were so happy just living each day. Like, could we as doctors kind of change the mold and send our young out and serve the world that we want to serve through chiropractic?
Like that. When I was a kid, I used to be really afraid of my brother because he used to like beat me up. And God rest his soul, he's not here anymore. But I used to get like this lump in my throat when I had to like stand up for myself. And I see that today within what we're doing here is chiropractic is just standing up for itself. And I do this show because I get a chance to hear you say the stuff and share your mission and your message, because I do believe that it's hard for people to understand that they're coming out of school with, $250,000 in debt, or they spent the past 8 years and they can't wait to just go out there and become a chiropractor or a business person, or become the associate or the independent contractor, or start their own business. So I think that there's a lot to be said when it comes to like business development and like managing your career once you get the diploma. I think there's a lot to be said about that. But like when I think about what we're talking about today, one of the things that I really like excited to ask you, because it is fundamentally who you are now. Who has influenced you? Who are the people that have poured into you over your early career to become the woman and the doctor that you are today?
Gosh, I wish that I had a shirt. Like, I love your hat, expect miracles. I need a shirt. I want to promote a shirt that says figure it out. Like, that's been my main motivator. Like, from people, any mentor that has encouraged me to figure it out, go out there, do it on your own, travel the world, figure it out. Like, I'm going to give props to them. Probably one of the earliest mentors coming out of chiropractic. Gosh, I always get emotional when I talk about him, is Dr. Ben Lerner. He took me and my husband under his wing, and he believed in me, and he saw the spark in me. And he said, you're one of the greatest female chiropractors of your time. And I just want to pour into you. And he did it without I mean, we didn't pay him anything. He didn't request money from us. He coached us when he didn't have to, when his schedule was full, when he was preaching to Stephen Furtick at Elevation. I mean, the man is busy, and he poured into us because he believed in me, and he's the one that helped us start a practice debt free. So I really, really, he influenced me greatly. And I'll be always indebted to him.
Yeah,
so,
we've had Ben on the show.
Yeah,
and it is really cool when you can meet somebody with that much that's done so much to get chiropractic more involved with the regular world. Like, the regular world exists and they don't know chiropractic does what it does. Because if everybody knew what chiropractors did, there'd be a lineup around their offices. Like, they would demand more hours at a chiropractic clinic. They'd be like, all right, you guys can't close today. We need more people here. We need more chiropractors practicing. You guys got to just keep the hours going. No lunches. Like, we'll bring you lunch. Like, if people knew exactly what chiropractic was providing, they would be bringing you guys lunch, dinner, and breakfast and letting you serve from your capacity and letting you just do the work that you do. And there would be no separation. It would just be the chiropractors like Clarence Gonstead. They're going to live at I heard so many stories of Clarence Gonstead would work like 18-hour days. People would fly in and stay at his facility. He built a hotel next to his clinic.
Yep.
Like the guy would have people under like constant care for like weeks on end until they were like, his philosophy is find it, fix it, leave it alone.
So for me, I work less than 25 hours a week in the practice. So I feel that work-life balance is everything. And most of my creativity comes from when I'm swimming in my pool. But I definitely, the 18-hour days, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, it's not so much for you or for the people watching. It's just like what's possible.
Yes.
And as we upgrade as a profession, what's going to be needed? What are we going to need from each practitioner moving forward? Because all people on the boat have to row.
Yes.
And like, how do we get each person to be in the right position, rowing the right way to where we're all going to the right direction instead of circling the wagons and shooting inward? Because that's what I hear that chiropractic does a lot when it comes to somebody practicing differently or thinking differently or doing differently. We're our own worst critics. So if we can become a solution and everybody starts rowing the right way, then I do think that like the GDP of chiropractic visits will go up. And the people that are going to be utilizing and wanting chiropractic are going to go up. Like, we just saw RFK Jr. Speak in Denver this past Thursday. And if that man gets a chance to be in office and he says, I think everybody should practice the chiropractic lifestyle and everybody should go get checked for their by a chiropractor for a functioning nervous system, like, the profession couldn't handle the influx of new patients. Yeah. But it's going to take something like that to like really change the dogmatic approach of how people have thought about chiropractic for the past 128 years.
That's good.
Yeah. And for everything that you said, and we're kind of on like a poignant transition here, where is the profession headed? Where do you see the profession of chiropractic going? Let's just say 5 years from now.
Gosh, that is, can I say skip?
You can.
I don't know. I wish that I could see that.
It depends on the consciousness of our culture.
Yeah, I think that we have to recognize these other things that are happening below the surface that maybe the traditional medical model has not brought out in the open. Like, I'm writing a book right now called The Three Pandemics, and I talk about one of them as, like Epstein-Barr virus, for example. A lot of people don't know that that's plaguing the American population in a way that's way more damaging than COVID. And one of my pandemics is not even COVID. It's like, I don't even want to talk about that. But if we could just, once again, as doctors, like, question things, look below the surface, I think that we would see our profession go in a totally different direction. Now, I do practice functional medicine, so I have to take off my chiropractic hat and put on the functional medicine hat, when I make those transitions. But if more chiropractors would ask questions, I think that's where it's at. Like, why do we do the things we do? Why doesn't insurance like to cover what we do? Just Just ask questions.
And here's my call to action for chiropractors that will watch this and listen to this is don't wait on your leaders to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like you are the leader. And one of my favorite bands growing up in high school was Rage Against the Machine. And there was a line that I'll constantly theme to people. If we don't take action now, then we'll settle for nothing later. Like we have to take action as a profession. Otherwise, we don't have a good answer for what it looks like in 5 years or 20 years.
Yeah. And you know what? My associate, so I have 2 associates and then I have an intern who I just told him, I said, you have 2 weeks to fill out a really in-depth strategic marketing plan. I want you to go out in the community and make relationships with 25 businesses. And he's like, 2 weeks? Yes, 2 weeks. And you've got to make relationships with these people. And it's like, I want to see what he can figure out. Can he do it? Can you figure it out? Can you ask questions? Can you do it? We need more doctors like that.
It's even better. I just made a post on my Facebook 3 hours ago. What's the quickest and most effective way to get people in your office on a very small budget? And that has already 40 comments on there. So
Yes.
your intern and associates should go read that post because there's a value of knowledge on that one post that somebody can take and then go implement today. I'll just tell somebody a quick hit. Go and build a relationship with the area urgent care 7 miles around your office. Go and meet those people that are running those facilities and treat them well, get to know them well, and say, hey, I know you deal with a lot of cases. A lot of people could probably use what I do over at our clinic. If people come in and they need crisis care, I'm going to bump them to you. But if you guys got people that come in that that we can help as a facility, they'll probably become your number one referral resource. And then I would say, go meet the area joint. Don't talk bad about them.
Yes,
but say, hey, we shoot x-ray over here. We take hot discs. We handle radiculopathy. We like people with sciatica. I know you guys have a hard time with those cases because you don't do the type of thorough exams as we do with our systems that we run. So I want to acknowledge you and treat you really well and say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing for the community. We don't look at you as an adversary. We look at you as somebody that we can work with. So if you just went and did those 2 strategies with people already getting volume of people coming through, they're going to say, okay, Dr. Ashley's in the Woodlands. She actually shoots x-rays and she can help people with disc issues. Go see her. Or, hey, I know you slipped and fell and you got an issue going on with like your lumbar spine. We don't deal with that at the urgent care. All we're going to do is prescribe something to you. And we don't want to do that to you. We want you to go somewhere where they can actually help you. Go see Dr. Ashley.
I want to also say that, these young chiropractors, the interns, the people just coming out of school, they have to do a little bit of that push advertising. I call it push marketing. So they got to get out there and really kind of attack. Whereas when you've been in the game for a little bit, you take more of a back approach and it's more about pull. So like for me, what kind of content can I put out to irritate people? And then they're kind of like, who is she? And it pulls people to you instead of you pushing. So that kind of comes after you've been in the game for a little bit.
So I know we're coming up on the edge of our time together. This has been such a dynamic episode of Chiro Hustle Podcast. It's 557 of these. We've been delivering this stuff for 6 years to you guys. We love what we do over here. We're always bringing the best people to this show to share their knowledge and their enthusiasm and love for chiropractic. I made the second post. Life is designed to be lived from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Things from the outside cannot fill us on the inside. And that's been the philosophy of chiropractic since I got into it. It's above, down, inside out. The body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Once we clear up that neurological interference, the body is a self-healing organism. The body is amazing. We have everything inside of us. The greatest doctors inside of the body. That's the real message here is the greatest doctor in the world is the one inside of you. And then if you can get somebody to clear out the subluxation, then there's no nerve interference. The body self-regulates, self-heal. It's organic. It's not mechanistic. There's no musculoskeletal. It's all subluxation. We're a vitalistic profession. We give people their life back. And you guys are just one adjustment away from that quality of life. In closing, Dr. Ashley, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today? And how can people reach out to you if they want to?
Gosh, yeah. I think I have like 5 Facebook accounts. So you can message any of them. My social media team will respond to you. But I want to just say, focus on your miracle stories. Focus on, the stories in your clinic that are happening that you really don't have an answer for. I will close with one story that really changed my life. I had a young patient. I saw him walking down my street. He was one of my neighbors, and I saw him walking on his tiptoes, and his name was Michael. And I invited the family in. I said, I'll do a complimentary neurological assessment on your son. I just want to see what's up. And when he came in, his father was with him. Father didn't make much facial expressions or anything. And when I adjusted Michael for the first time, and Michael's on the autism spectrum, so he never knew it, but his family did. They had never gotten him diagnosed or anything, but his family knew it. Well, anyway, I did one upper cervical adjustment on him, and man, my upper cervical adjustment's quite a bit different than what we're taught in school. I encourage you to create your own adjusting style. Don't follow Thompson. Don't follow all these create your own. That's what I want for my associates. I teach them to create their own styles, create your own technique.
It's art.
It's an art. And so I adjusted Michael one time, and he started hysterically laughing. Just crying, like hysterically laughing. And I look over at his father, and a tear is coming. And this is a German man, no facial expression. And a tear is coming out of his eye. And I said, why are you crying? And he said, my son is 14 years old, and I have never seen him laugh.
Oof.
That's the power of what we get to do. That's what we get to do.
Amen. Yeah. And that's it. There's so much that a chiropractor can provide to people that don't know they have hope. And that's the beauty of the adjustment. That's the beauty of why we do this show, is because of the message you just shared. Let's bring laughter back to people.
Yes.
Let's bring joy back to people. Let's bring hope back to people. And that's really why I've never given up on chiropractic, as I've worked in the profession for the past 15 years. I know that there's a place for people to be educated, and not pushed educated, but pulled educated. And I believe that your story today is going to be something that resonates with the pull effect of chiropractic rather than the push effect of chiropractic. And every time I've heard a chiropractor say, we need to educate more people, it feels like a push effect. Mm-hmm. So let's work on that pull effect that you talked about, and let's reach more lives and ask better questions. And with that, this is episode 557 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. You know how to reach out to Dr. Ashley. Find her on the socials. And I close out by telling everyone, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashley.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.